Good afternoon everyone, and a very big welcome to all of you for today's Skills Planner webinar. I'm Camilla Ames, the Sprint team lead, and I'm joined by our project director Rob Pye, David North, user experience designer, and Ian Millard, data platform lead. We also have a wider Skills Planner team all joining this webinar remotely, and I can see that there's a great attendance from our partners and collaborators. Welcome all. Very shortly, David will take us through the Learner Supply demonstrator using practical scenarios to showcase how to use this tool in detail. Once that live demo is finished, we will move on to Rob, who will present the Skills Planner business case. We will be talking for about 20 minutes and allowing 10 minutes for a question and answer session at the end. Please keep yourself on mute and put your questions into the chat box at any point during the webinar. We will work through them once the first part of the session is complete, and we aim to answer as many as possible today. All questions and answers will be emailed to you after the call. The main purpose today is to generate as much feedback as possible. Your comments, suggestions and thoughts form a crucial part in the development of Skills Planner, so please use the online feedback, which will also be emailed to you. This webinar is recorded and will be made available to view on YouTube after the meeting. So, today we are going to take you through the Learner Dashboard. This is the supply side of Skills Planner. You will remember that at the previous webinar we demonstrated the demand side, data sets that were provided by the employers, future job roles required on a specific construction project. The Learner Dashboard is effectively the flip side of this. Here we are looking at college data to see when and where those learners with the right qualifications will be in the future. This dashboard has been refined based on your feedback gathered at previous demos as well. The Learner Dashboard provides an example of one type of supply-side data, showcasing data sets of about 3,000 learners from the College of North West London and also Lewisham Southwark College. The training courses shown in this dashboard are all classified as concerned with building and construction. The data sets are derived from sensitised college individual learner record data, as well as course information from sources such as LARS, the Government Learning Aims database. We see that one of the key offers of Skills Planner is the ability to make sense of all these different data sets, such as learners, courses, occupational standards, training providers, and accreditation, etc. We hope you'll find that the Learner Dashboard is an intuitive tool which allows the user to navigate easily through different filters on location, diversity, course groups, and training statistics. As an example, using the location filter here, you can view learners both by the borough they live in or alternatively the borough they study in, which may not always be the same. The courses displayed in this dashboard have been grouped based on the CITB 28 occupation groups, also known as CSOC. And this is only one type of grouping that we are using here. We may be able to support other types in future iterations. The learners are also grouped into ethnicity and gender groups as well as age bands. More specific training statistics are also shown and can be filtered based on apprenticeship and qualification levels, provider types, course start and end dates, etc. So I will now hand over to David, who will demonstrate the Learner Dashboard in more detail. Over to you, David.
Yes, good afternoon. I'll be doing your demonstration this afternoon, the Learner Forecast Dashboard. And to dive straight in, we'll be looking at the data that's been loaded here on the screen at the moment. Is the college and learner data sets. It has quite a diverse breakdown, as you can see, ranging through the ethnicity, also the gender, age, variations on different course groups, and as you can see, if we hover on some of these course groups, the electrical trades and installations, there's currently 548 in our data sets of the electrical trades and installations. If we go further down, we can see further training statistics, but also you can even see, if we hover on one of the age demographics, the 25 to 34-year-olds, that's the highest demographic there is at the moment in this data set. But as we apply some of the filters, we will see some of these ranges change, and we'll be taking a look at that as we go through the demonstration. So the first scenario I will be giving you a run through will be looking for the borough of Lewisham, with course groups and bricklayers in the courses that are ending in 2016 to 2017. The second scenario will look from at the home borough of Brent in a course group of electricians, trades and installations, and we will also look at some of the more detailed filtering we can see further down under the training statistics. So to jump into the first scenario, the data is presented on the right hand side, as you can already see, but the filtering is applied through the left hand panel here. And if we jump into scenario number 1, where from a scenario, what if we were an employer where we were forecasting increased demand for bricklayers in the borough of Lewisham. The first thing we would do would be click on location, apply a home borough of Lewisham, click there, and now we can then go further down and click into our course groups, and here we will find bricklayers, and now we will go and set the course dates through the course dates filtering panel, and here we're going to click on ending dates, and we're going to pick the 2016 to 2017. Straight away we can actually see how the data has now shifted. A good example of, we can even see the age range is shifted, where the age demographic of 16 to 17 has the largest proportion. And here we can see the course groups where the bricklayers are highlighted independent of all the others because of the primary colours they are used. And if we look further down, we can see the apprenticeship levels, and intermediate and advanced required, and we can see the different NVQ qualifications, as well as the various other statistics about the course end dates. The numbers ending in that period is 64, and on the map we can all see where the two boroughs, our neighbouring borough and the Lewisham borough itself, highlighted on the map. So that's an example of how you can analyse the data for that scenario. What I'm now going to do using the little red X's is now clear the data and reset the filters back to their starting point. And the second scenario, this is is based on the fact that we know electrical trades are forecast to be in high demand, and an employer is looking to form a relationship with a college such as the College of North West London to support their investment in electrical trade apprenticeships. To do this, we're going to take a look at the home borough of Brent, and we're going to target the course groups, electrical trades and installations. And as we can see, the map then is very much focused around the Brent area, showing 125 candidates. But also the course groups, we can now see the highlighted electrical trades and installations. There's 441 forecasted. But if we now actually slide down further, what we're going to do is we're going to slightly change the training statistics panels by clicking on the small cog here. We can, if we unselect apprenticeships, training provider type, and activate prior attachment and funding model, and click close, we can now see the data has now shifted to support more analysis of a different type of demographic of and training statistics. I hope this has been useful. In the future, it will be easy to add other information on as colleges such as Ofsted ratings, prospectus, contact details, etc. become available to us. We hope this has been a useful demonstration, and what we would highly encourage you to do is go and play with this yourself. The link is readily available as part of the follow-up to this webinar today, and I hope this has made using the interface a little bit more easier, and I hope you enjoy using it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. I hope you all found that useful. So we shall now move on to Rob, who will take us through the Skills Planner business case. Over to you, Rob.
Good morning, everyone. I have just 2 slides, both moving towards defining more concrete business cases for a data ecosystem. The first slide talks about the flow of value through data. A second gives a worked example of some of the major business case segments with an example of how these cases are linked together and driven by the financial dynamics really at the head of the value chain. So starting with slide 1, I'm not going to talk through each of the bullet points, just going left to right through the different ellipses and squares and really just highlighting the headline story. So the vision is of a data ecosystem where each stakeholder would become a publisher of their own skills data, whether that's open or closed. So if it's open, it will remain open and free, and if closed, it'll be protected within some particular context, maybe the organization context. So if we start in the top left, our attention is increasingly drawn towards the macro drivers. So as summarized really well, for example, in the Pharma Review, talking about the massive need for affordable housing, demography changes, efficiency, off-site, modular, etc. And increasingly those drivers, the more we look at them, are about commissioning, financing, developers, etc., which really inputs to the government context, which I've titled here as Construction for Social Good. So how can construction create jobs, local jobs, apprentices, employment, look at diversity, input to the construction industrial strategy. Next, the link to supply. So obviously further education, higher education, who are going through some rather big system changes with the apprentice levy becoming more business-led and looking at their value proposition, in relation to jobs on the outside of education rather than SFA funding on the inside. And of course the demand piece, disruptive change is only going to come outside in. What I mean by that outside in is that doing more of the same things will get more of the same results. So the change has to be driven by that, the drivers, the commissioning agenda, or disruptive change through new capabilities that start outside of these large organisations. So the business cases that we see here, just from this sort of flow, tend to be what I would call multi-stakeholder, which is, not any one entity has the gift to define and execute, the business case unilaterally. There's been a lot of market analysis about the inherent unfreeness of this market. It's very heavily linked, not just with regulation, but as you see in this flow here. So in the middle of this, skills data is really present at all levels of this value chain, at all of the rectangles and ellipses. It can't really be centralized or commanded or controlled. And the key point is, I leave you with on this slide, is that the data in this is an enabler. It's not the solution. So in of itself, the data will enable better decisions, better interventions. And ultimately, the parting thought is there's that triangle workman, woman, where the individual user interface is absolutely key to this. And if we can't add value to the individual, we shouldn't be doing this. So on to the second slide. There's a little bit of a model here to help us, to help the thinking, where it's sort of 2 by 2. At the bottom is the rather familiar supply-demand dynamic. And at the top are the more sort of influential, sort of top-down stuff. So we've got government planning at the top right, and we've got the client-led commissioning, the finance of how deals are put together, and the economics of what this is about. So again, I'm not going to go through all of the bullet points, but I've just highlighted there in a slightly larger font a use case that I find really characterises the sort of disruption at scale that can potentially be just around the corner. And I've been working these models with Mark Farmer, with CITB, with other people who really have key stakes in this, and everyone seems to agree. So the use case is looking at modular or off-site manufacturing, and the new entrant, Legal & General, that have come to the market, driven by a need for better returns on investment in land-based assets. So, for example, the affordable housing, not meeting the cost-quality mix to produce the returns that the financiers want, cause them to enter with their own proposition. And so, top right box, this leads to a huge synergy with the government planning reality of not having huge resource in that area, but a huge need for affordable social housing. And that plays into that theme that I talked about, government for social good, which in turn leads to the type of training, reskilling that is needed to provide, right person, right skills, right time, to quite a different business model. And at the same time, training organisations are hardening their value proposition and business case, becoming much more employer-led, and linking their proposition to employment as well. So last but not least, the delivery side of that has the potential to lead to better, faster, cheaper delivery, more capital efficiency, in a kind of changing landscape which comes right the way from commissioning, and that won't necessarily be characterised by just a thin prime and quite a fragmented but vertical supply chain, but more horizontal coherence, where you can take big chunks like the off-site manufacturing, modular manufacturing capabilities, the on-site installation, the expertise around data, the expertise around planning and forecasting, and these become competency areas. And the recent CITB commissioned report from Pi Tate, great name, it is are good signposts, if you like, for future skills in that area. So what this means is that implementing this change is probably not going to be about Skills Planner with a standalone value proposition, but the data ecosystem, being an outside-in change where you put something like Skills Planner with Buildforce, with Build London, with CITB capability, etc., in an asset locked or a social organisation, a charity, a non-for-profit, a new organisation that is specifically focused on using these distributed value cases, these distributed business and linked business cases, in a new context. And that's the type of thing that we're interested in exploring with major infrastructure projects, with major housing and other developments, where we have a very specific, powered by skills planner proposition in a sort of outside-in change project. And like other Ethos things, we call them kind of safe to fail experiments. So it's a real quick canter through where we are not working alone, working with everyone. And the call to action is we really would like to work this idea with our collaborators and partners and see where it goes. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. That now leads us on to our question and answer session, and we will attempt to answer as many as possible. The first question or a comment in the chat log box here is one from Chris Dransfield, Build London. To be really helpful, the demand and supply data needs to be overlaid and being at local, sub-regional, regional level. So perhaps not a question as such, but would someone in the team like to possibly elaborate on that? Ian Millard, our data platform lead. Over to you, Ian.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for your comments. Yes, we agree. Bringing together the information on forecast demand and the supply side would be very interesting. We have discussed this within the project quite a bit, and is something we're working towards. We're looking to expand the breadth of data from contractors and their supply chains. In addition to that, from training providers and professional and regulatory bodies, to give a more comprehensive view of the future demand, the current capacity and utilisation of the workforce, and the anticipated numbers of newly qualified workers. We need to further explore how this information can be consolidated and most usefully presented to users, although, as you suggest, both the temporal and spatial elements are clearly very important.
Thank you very much, Ian. I shall move on to the next question, which is one that has been brought up here within the team, and maybe one that many of you partners and collaborators have asked yourself in the light of the news from Innovate UK. So the question is, I've heard that Innovate UK has suspended the project. What will that mean for Skills Planner collaborators and partners? Over to you, Rob. Thank you.
Okay, the answer to this question is in many ways quite straightforward. Innovate haven't been able to administer the contribution in kind that they signed off on our submission that we've been running according to their policy for the last 18 months of a 24-month contract. And we're now waiting for them to clarify their position. But in the meantime, they haven't paid us anything for approaching 8 months, which is an awful lot of cash for an SME to have been paid out in wages, etc., that we haven't had anything back on. The result is that the core research can't continue because we've kind of run out of our reserves in terms of funding this until we clarify this issue. The flip side, the positive part of that, is that we're redoubling our efforts on how the model becomes sustainable, which is really the right thing to be doing, much more of at this part of the project anyway. So, as I said in the slides, the data is an enabler, and it needs to be linked with specific linked business cases, initiatives that are about helping a particular infrastructure project with some pretty tricky resourcing or cross-skilling needs, and surfacing the data that without Skills Planner would be really difficult to get hold of. So really the call to action from this is that we urgently need our partners and collaborators to continue to work with us, but put more of a focus on the bottom line and the business case. Where are the efficiency and the disruptive transformational cases that can come out of this greater data visibility. So we really need as much help as we can get from from our user community. Okay, thanks.
Lovely, thank you, Rob. The last question I think we will have time to answer today is one from the team here, more to do with the dashboard itself. What methodology and classification system was used for the training courses as shown on the learner dashboard? And this question will be answered by Debbie Carlton. Over to you, Debbie.
There were two methodologies used. First, we applied the CITP SOC course groupings to group all the courses under. And secondly, all of the courses related to the Ofqual subject sector area classification, which is how courses and qualifications are classified against specific sectors, in this case the subsector building and construction.
Many thanks, Debbie. That leads us on to the end of this session. Would just like to say thank you all for your participation at this lunchtime session. This demonstrator is available online for everyone to explore, imagine and play with. We will send you the link in the email after this call. The written up question and answer document will also be emailed to you, and we hope you can share your comments and feedback via the online form. That's been a great half hour. Thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon at the next planned webinar session, which should be on the 12th of July. Thank you very much, and goodbye.